Tried waking up this morning early and couldn't get myself out of bed. I was struggling to get up. I sat up in my bed and tried to meditate for a little bit and immediately was sucked into a feeling of download and connection. So I laid back down and my body was like I was having all kinds of you know otherworldly feelings in my body. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to go with it and not fight it. And I became very sleepy and I fell asleep again. Well, before that, in the dreams that I was having throughout the night, they were pretty significant in the sense that they were a repeating dream. My brother was present, my son was there, my mother was there. There was water involved. The ocean and water in general was significant, and then these vehicles too, along with ghosts and kind of historical sites kind of thing. It was involving a bed and breakfast that I wanted to stay at, but then when we got in there, it was a restaurant. It was like a 2-story restaurant, and I was like, well, we've been here before. I don't want to go upstairs. There's like an upper level. I was like, I don't want to go up there because we've already been here before. Because on the outside, and I even talked with some of the local people, it looked like a bed and breakfast, and it was until we got inside. But it was kind of an old Western kind of look to it. The town was like old Western type thing. And anyways, so that dream came and went. It was a repeating dream. I recognized it while I was dreaming it. My brother was there. My brother takes on the appearance of my son many times, the son that lives with me. But he was white, like very white, glowing. Not like white like this, like glowing white. His whole body, even his clothing. And he didn't really say much like usual. When I see my brother in my dreams, he doesn't really speak or anything. It's just kind of a fleeting glimpse, and it's my recognition of, well, you're there, because I was a little concerned. It was this feeling of, where's Ben? That's how it was our entire lives. Dealing with my brother was, where's Ben? I was always concerned about my brother throughout my entire life from the time we were children, because I felt responsible for him because my parents were not all there. So as soon as I saw him, he kind of darted through the building that we were in, me and my mom. Once I saw him and he was glowing white, I was like, okay, he's good. And that was the end of that portion. And then it led into other things, which were kind of unusual. That's when we walked into the building and it was no longer a bed and breakfast, and I recognized where we were and stuff, and that we had already been there. That's when everything changed. So beyond that point, things started getting weird, unusual stuff. So moving on to the actual experience that I had this morning, it was in regards to the giants, and I've had a lot of experiences with giants, memories of being part of the ruling class at that time. I was a black woman. I was like a queen. But these giants were always with us. They were always with us. And they were part of our group, like our society. And this was definitely like in kind of a more deserty, but like still tropical environment, so there was a lot of sand, but you saw the palm trees and things like that. So this is what always pops into my mind when they come in. Yet, what also pops into my mind is my connection directly with them in this life. and how I have a representation of myself as a giant, which I've talked about in other videos before. So that also came in, and they were like kind of intertwining themselves in this experience that I was having when I couldn't stay awake. And this time it was kind of like talking about, the information that I was receiving from it was that these beings are still walking with us, like they're here with us at all times. And you are embodying their energy, but they are actually here with us. And this is also my connection to Inner Earth. Is through this one that kind of represents a version of me. And that was basically what it was about, is talking about all these alien type beings that we call aliens, which are different dimensions of versions of what we are, that they are actually with us. So, like, I'm here physically, my perception of physicality in this body, but they are also here in their version, just playing out a different part, but it's kind of the same part in a way. So, it's still connected, and you can connect with them, whatever beings you represent, in your separation of divinity, your versions of divinity, they are actually with you. And that's what you could relate to as your ancestors or your angels, or everybody's got a different perception of how they see it, but that's what they were telling me basically. And it was interesting because I really connected with the perception that I was being pulled into this altered state so that I could have this connection. And a lot of people see it as downloads. Like, when you first get your downloads, they're very different than as time goes on and you're getting these downloads. You start to recognize when you're going to have the downloads, and all the signs of, okay, a lot of times you'll go into sleep, is what ends up happening, is you get really tired, and these energies are trying to give you this information, trying to connect, like, okay, it's time to know some more things. So you go into these altered states so that you can receive the information, and they will hang out and wait until you are capable of going into those states. This energy just kind of lingers around you until you have that opportunity to do that. And that's another thing that was kind of solidified through this experience that I had. So I'm sure more things will come through in regards to that, but you know, it was an interesting series of events between the dream that I had and then the dreamlike state I was in. And I was also noticing, because this one inner earth being that I'm connected to, even though it's a giant, it's also a reptilian, which in the other experiences I had that I was describing about the other giants that were part of our civilization, they didn't necessarily have that look. It was almost like with each society or evolution of being, the giants also appear differently. So it's kind of interesting. And I noticed when I was sleeping, I kept, like, which I've experienced before, had this like reptilian um, communication coming out while I was asleep. I could actually hear it and feel it. So it was interesting.